Everybody, KD4RE, Lee. You all know Lee. He's a very active member of the club. He's got something really interesting to show us this evening.
Okay. Um, all right. I'm gonna put this down. Okay, so as many of you know, the first president of VWS was Ray Johnson, who is now Silent Key, and K5RJ. Um, oh, about a year ago, his widow called me up, and we had gone over to her house and helped a little bit clean up things. And she said, "You were eyeing this radio. Would you like to have it?" And I said, sure. So I went over and I picked up this radio right here. It's a receiver. Um, it's a 1932 Radio Engineering Laboratories um, unit. It's a super regen, and it came normally with the 2.5 volt filament tubes, but you had the option of getting the new automobile tubes. Okay. 6.3 volt filaments. And that was sort of an option the way the radio. And it has plug-in coils for 80, 40, 20, and 10 meters. And again, it's a super regen. Now, REL, the company was started by a immigrant. I've forgotten which country he's from, somewhere in Slovakia, I think. In New York, lived in New York, and he started putting together like a lot of early radio kits, and it was selling parts, capacitors and coils and tubes and sockets. And they actually have, I found a 1927 catalog for the company. And I'm going to move forward here a little bit interesting about the company. Um, so he set up and was building ham radio receivers and transmitters back in the early 1930s, late 1920s, which is, predates Collins and several others. So REL was in Long Island City, New York, and the guy running it became acquainted with Armstrong, and they were licensed by Armstrong for his original FM patents, which is he did not provide to people like RCA and GE. So REL um, started making a lot of FM equipment under the original Armstrong patents rather than the workarounds that other people had to deal with. And they made like mobile FM radios for one of the police departments back in like 1936. And the other thing is they got into FM broadcasting, and REL made FM transmitters and receivers. And as a matter of fact, one of the first FM radio stations in Washington, D.C. had an REL transmitter. And the station whose call sign was, I think, W3XO, and this is back when FM was down in like 50 megahertz, okay, 40 megahertz, 40, 50 megahertz back then was FM broadcasting before World War II. And the station was owned by a radio consulting company here in DC called Jansky and Bailey. Well, I worked for Atlantic Research, which had purchased Jansky and Bailey, and I knew a lot of Jansky and Bailey employees in my early career, and I found it very fascinating. But I was reading this, I found an ad in Broadcasting Magazine for the station here in Washington that was owned by Jansky and Bailey and had an REL transmitter. And REL kept going even over the early 1950s. The high end, kind of top of the line FM receivers were made by REL. So from their humble beginnings, building this ham radio gear, the company grew quite a bit. And now they were still doing some defense electronics. And I think they finally faded into oblivion about 1963. But I have to do some work on the radio. The potentiometer for the regen control is stuck and needs to be redone. And as I said, it has plug-in coils for 80, 40, 20, and 10 meters. And there's also a additional coil you can wind your own. So the plug-in forms, let me show you what it looks like real quick. Yeah, so this is a plug-in coil, and you can see around the bottom, it's got a bunch of pins that stick out. So this drops in and twists in position. And this one is a 20-meter coil. And they actually sold the coils separate from the radios for people home brewing. So, and it has all of, let's see here, two vacuum tubes in it. So it has a RF amplifier, detector. So after we get done here, you guys can come up, and we've got another display of people have their radios and things. And so that's it.
Thanks, Lee.